recently went to the Endless Footdrag for the first time. I'm out here in Kansas now, so Endless Footdrag was only about 2 hours away from me. And so we went there and had a great time. And for the first time ever, I got to test out a Freeride 2 and an Ozone Viper XC. So I got some video footage of it. I'll throw some clips together and give you my opinion on what I thought about the Freeride 2 and the Ozone Viper XC. They're both pretty good wings. I was actually impressed with some things and not impressed with other things. So stay tuned, check it out. First impressions of the Freeride 2. I'm actually surprised of how strong the reflex feels as long as you have your hands up. If I keep my hands up, it is pretty good. Just pulling on the A's like this. It is pretty good like that. But if you apply any brake pressure, of course that negates the reflex, and then it if it does collapse, the surge, the recovery surge after it collapses is really strong, really aggressive. And it needs a lot of brake to stop it over the top. Otherwise it overflies. The other thing I noticed, let me kill the wing. Okay, look at this. So the other thing I noticed, trims are out halfway, and these risers have PK, but even at full speed, it's not giving at full speed bar. I'm still not at full speed unless my trims are also released. So to reach full speed on the Freeride 2, you have to be full bar and you have to let the trims out all the way. Dudek's PK is different on that PK system. If you have it engaged, if you're full speed bar, the trims are also fully released. So just a difference in gliders between Ozone and Dudek. The Freeride 2, you'd have to also release trims to get full speed. But it's extremely lifty. Like when you get a good jump in the air and pull on the brakes, you get a ton of lift from the Freeride 2. More so than like the Snake 3 that I've been flying. But it feels less stable than the Snake 3. That's just me kiting it in strong conditions though. I'll have to take it up later and see what it feels like, but everything is a trade-off. It feels very efficient, very lifty. I wish you could get full speed in the PK system with the trims in, but you can't. But it seems really lifty, and this is a 19 meter. I'm normally flying a 20 meter Snake 3. Yeah, looking forward to flying it in the air. Collapse. Collapse. And the surge is really strong. Watch. So this is a 20 meter Viper XC, and the risers are the non-PK risers. So to get full speed, you would also have to release trims, and applying speed bar does not release trims at all. So speed bar is probably 50% and trims are 50%. It feels like it surges a little bit less than the Freeride 2. I think the Freeride 2 like after a collapse or during an inflation, like to surge a little more. It feels slightly softer, like that. Or maybe it just requires less brake because the aspect ratio is higher. So that means the same brake travel equals a stronger effect on the trailing edge of the glider. But it feels more stable than the Freeride 2, which that's what it's advertised to be. It's a little softer, maybe a little bit more efficient than a Freeride 2, but you don't get the features of the PK risers unless you specifically order them. I haven't flown this yet, but everyone says the Viper XC is more roll stable than like a Freeride 2, so we'll try that out this evening. But otherwise, I actually feel like this Viper XC is just like a toned down version of a Freeride 2. I would say it's one step higher in like skill-wise required than a Hadron 3, but definitely one step lower than like a Dudek Warp. I'd place it between the Hadron 3 and the Dudek Warp as far as how it feels to me and ease of use. Yeah, we'll see how it does in the air. Okay, let's do a collapse test. I don't really have to do it by itself. Hold on the A's. Pretty good. All right, let's get into the flying portion now. So this is my first flight on the 19-meter Ozone Freeride 2. Inflation is very Ozone-like. It's light and it comes up quick and easy. No complaints there. And this is pretty strong conditions, probably 10 miles an hour when I did this launch. You'll see my speed bar lines. They're hooked around my swing arms. That happens when I do a reverse launch, but I'm used to it. Every wing does that. And the toggles came off the magnets fairly easy. We'll talk more about those brake magnets later on because I do not like them. But we'll show you some footage here and talk about the things that I do like about the Freeride 2. The brakes are direct, responsive. The 2D steering feels natural. Doesn't feel strange, like less pressure on the tip versus the main line. It feels pretty even and natural feeling. It rolls quickly, just as fast as my 20-meter Snake 3. Maybe slightly faster, but both are so fast that it doesn't matter. If you're going for a maximum roll, either one would make you happy. Now for efficiency, I'm flying an Atom 80 with a 140 prop, so kind of underpowered for this size of glider. And I can tell that it's about the same as my 20-meter Snake 3. So here I'm pulling on the outer A-line, just trying to see like if I were to take a tip collapse and how it would react. So now you see that I've added some speed bar and I'm doing the same thing, and the tip is not collapsing. I'm yanking on this outer A line with about half bar on, and the tip just will not collapse. So I'm kind of testing how much reflex does it have and how effective is it when I kind of get into that reflex mode with some bar applied. I was impressed. It did well. Seems definitely the reflex works on this. The faster you fly, the more solid it gets in turbulence. Alright, just kind of feeling out how much it dives and rolls. I feel like it maybe noses over a little faster or a little more than my Snake 3. Definitely more than something like Warp. But it's great. No complaints there. So there's one thing that is Ozone wings tend to have that Dudek wings also have, just not as strong. And it's when you are in like a spiral coming down like this with a lot of energy, when you pull on both those brake lines, the glider just like hooks and swings you around and turns you harder with like more G's. It feels almost like the glider is trimmed faster, and then when you pull the brakes, you're trading off that extra speed for a sharper turn radius. But Ozone wings just tend to have a little bit more pull G-force in a spiral dive if you apply that brake pressure. I do like the feeling of it. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Of course, we did some speed runs. Once I built some confidence up in the glider that it wasn't going to do anything crazy, I did this up high first, obviously. Just for fun, some low speed, or some high speed passes down low. And the glider's solid. No complaints. I can't quite reach full bar. My legs are too short, or I need to adjust the speed bar a little bit, but I'm also full throttle here, and I was just maintaining, so I really couldn't hit the very, very top speed on this on my Atom 80. My Snake 3 is kind of the same. It depends on how much fuel I have, but sometimes I can hit top speed at full throttle and just barely maintain altitude. And the 19 Freeride 2 is kind of the same, so this one, I'd have to measure speed to be exact, but if they are the same speed, then this one is slightly less efficient than my Snake 3. But this could be going faster, I'm not sure. I didn't have a chance to measure speed because the winds weren't calm enough. Alright, so one of the last things I want to touch on with this Freeride 2 is the brake pressure. The brake pressure was surprisingly firm. Like one of the firmest brake pressures that I've felt on a glider. It doesn't immediately feel firm, but the amount of brake you would pull if you were doing wing overs or yanking and banking, you know, when you start pulling that much brake, it gets really firm really quickly. Pros and cons, personal preference, like not something I prefer a lighter brake pressure, but on the safety side, this thing is going to let you know if you're about to really screw up and stall it. So, I don't know. Felt really firm to me. Not a deal breaker though, just something I wanted to note. And so, moving on. Here I am on the Ozone Viper XC. This has kind of been superseded by the Viper 6, which is pretty much the same wing, just in a lighter weight fabric. So what I say about this glider could kind of apply to the Viper 6 as well. But the special feature of the Viper XC are the winglets. And the winglets are supposed to dampen the roll of the glider and make it a little bit more stable. That doesn't mean that it's so stable that you can't rip huge wing overs or barrel rolls if you have the ability to do that. As you can see, it still yanks and makes just fine, and I'm pretty light on this glider. I'm probably 104 kilograms all up on a 20 meter Viper XC in this footage, flying an Atom 80. It does yank and bake. You can feel that when you really try to make it roll fast, it rolls, but it hits to a certain point that even if you pull more brake,
it just kind of dampens it just a little bit compared to something like the Freeride 2. But the roll stability definitely works. Like, I'm flying behind this other guy in pretty turbulent conditions. We're getting the rotor off the tree line upwind from us. And it doesn't push me around left and right. I definitely feel the bumps. It has a lot of roll movement in like your harness. Like, it feels like it tips you left and right, but the glider just continues to track straight. Feels maybe slightly more efficient than a Freeride 2. Really hard to tell unless you crunch the fuel numbers. It's not drastic. It's not like I'm using 1,000 RPM less at cruise, but it's probably noticeable on a really long cross country that you may get a few more miles out of your fuel burn with this compared to a Freeride. The launch, just like when I was kiting, I mentioned, probably slightly easier takeoff on this compared to the Freeride 2. Just feels a little damp, a little toned down. Maybe somebody wants an advanced glider because they're ready for it, but they're not into doing barrel rolls or wing overs. They just want something that will turn, have a direct advanced glider response, but without being too spicy for no reason, when they can enjoy the benefits of a high aspect ratio without the unnecessarily crazy fast roll rate if they don't desire that. I had both the Ozone Freeride 2 and the Viper XC available as demo wings to me during the Endless Footdrag, and guess which one I chose to fly more? The Viper XC. It just did all the things that I wanted it to, slightly easier than the Freeride 2, and the only disadvantage was that it didn't roll quite as fast as the Freeride 2 did. I do wish this was the PK version risers, and given the chance, I would probably order the version with the PK risers because I don't typically use trims too much. I just use speed bar when I want to go fast, and it would be nice to get a little bit more speed out of the speed bar. But let's talk about the negatives, and this applies to both gliders. You'll see in the footage this brake toggle magnet. It is on a piece of Velcro that slides up and down on the risers. So the issue I have with it is that every time I go to stow the toggle, I have to turn my head and look at where it is. I tried just, feeling for the magnet, and I couldn't find it half the time probably. So I don't like that it moves and it's in a different position every time I want to stow my brakes. When I'm on my Snake 3, I can be like full bar up high and I want to just stow my brake. I don't have to look. I can just put my hand where I know the magnet is every time, and the toggle clicks on. I feel it, and I don't even have to turn my head and look at it. But on these gliders, both of them had this weird thing where I had to look where the magnet was every time. The other issue I had with that is when you're cruising along, let's say you've already dumped your trims and you're on bar, and but your magnets are on, or your toggles are on the magnets, and then you want to take your toggle off the magnet. With this style, you have to pull down. You can't just pull out because there's a little plastic clip that holds it in. So let's say I'm full speed when you're not supposed to pull any brake line. Now I have to pull the toggle down and apply brake pressure to get it off of the magnet, which to me is kind of unsafe. So the safest way to do it is you would have to come off speed bar, take your toggle off, and then get back on speed bar. Once again, something I don't have to do on my Snake 3. I can just pull that toggle straight off the magnet while I'm full speed bar, and then I could pop off the bar and yank a bunch of brake and rip into a huge barrel roll. Just, once again, a personal preference thing that may not apply to you, but if it does apply to you, just something I wanted to note. And finally, we have the landing. Overall, I had a ton of fun at the Endless Footdrag, and I was pretty impressed with both the Freeride 2 and the Viper XC. I think both are great gliders, but I think because of the little negative things that I mentioned about them, they just don't fit me and my flying style personally right now. Alright, I'll wrap it up. Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't heard, I've started a paramotor school in northeast Kansas. So if you're looking for training and you're in the northeastern Kansas area, search for Milford Lake Paramotor. Or if you just want to talk about wings or paramotors or gear, training in general, feel free to give me a call anytime. Send me a message on Facebook, whatever works for you. Appreciate all the support and all the views from my followers. Thanks for watching. Peace.